everybody. Welcome to Talking Animation, where we each month like to talk about an obscure, indie, lesser known animated film, and we like to give it its praises, and it's really fun. I'm excited to talk about this very special movie today. We are talking about Wolf Children by Mamoru Hosoda, and Stanford is here as usual.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
And great. I'm so excited to talk with you about this movie.
Yes, we're Wolf Children is a very special film. I actually saw it for the first time last year as part of my Blind Spot series. It was when I was catching up on, and I had been told by my friend Ronald Smith, who is great, that it was his favorite movie, and so he really hyped me up to get ready to see it.
Nice.
And
Yeah, well, I've been anxious to know about where you heard, how you heard about it, and
yes,
yeah, how you were introduced to it.
yeah, he recommended it, and he said that it made him cry and that he loved it, and so I watched it and I just absolutely adored it. Think I gave it a perfect score on on my review. It's a absolutely beautiful film, and what we're going to do, we're excited. We've already covered Summer Wars on obscure animation on this series, and so we'll put a link down to that episode if you want to listen to it, which is a more Mamoru Hosoda's uh, kind of record. Ralph Breaks the Internet film.
Yeah, this is Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah, which is really good. And you see more of that in his movie Belle, which I've reviewed over on my site.
Yes,
I
and I'm
loved it.
excited to see Belle.
Ooh, it's
Yeah,
so good. And we're going to talk about that in January for this series. And then we'll talk about The Girl Leapt Through Time in February. So we're going to have a little Mamoru Hosoda's
yes, well,
love fest.
absolutely. I'm excited about it.
Yes, and it was so cool at Animationist Film this year. They screened Belle. It was an incredible experience, and Mamoru Hosoda was there, and he
Ooh.
introduced the film
Which,
and
I
did a
mean,
little
Rachel.
panel.
I
It
mean,
was so
come
cool.
on. That is so cool. I was just
Yeah.
nerding out about it from afar, just like, what?
Yeah, it was so cool not only to hear from him, but just to be in a theater where everyone was so primed and so excited.
Yeah.
So that was a
And,
very
and really
special.
appreciate,
Mhm.
the art, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So have you ever seen this before?
No, I never even heard of
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
So, said I'm a newbie. All this anime, I learned about it from you, Rach. Uh,
Yes.
and so, of course, we watched Summer Wars, which got me interested in
Hmm.
his work. And then, I'm so glad we're going to be watching
Yeah.
these. Yeah, this was the first time I had heard of this film.
He is just such a great director.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
said on Twitter today, I think I like Hosada as much as I like Miyazaki. Miyazaki made more movies, so it's a maybe not a fair comparison, uh, but I don't know, the ones I've seen are just so full of heart, so lovely, so well animated, that I think they are at least on the same level. I really do.
Yeah, they uh, they're definitely up there. I agree,
Hmm. Yeah.
with artistry and emotion, and you know, creativity.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
excellent director, excellent studio,
Hmm.
and in fact, some of the backgrounds I thought were, particularly when they were in the country, are very Ghibli-esque, Studio
Yeah.
Ghibli-esque, and I mean that as a compliment. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
uh,
And I think this one, even more than some of his others, feels kind of Ghibli esque
uh-huh.
because it is set in the country. It has a female lead character. It I mean, so does Belle when you get to see that, but uh, that character is a little bit older than a typical Ghibli character. I mean, I guess she is in this too as well, but there's the little girl in this.
Yes.
But yeah, basically the plot for this movie is you have this woman who is uh, falls in love with a wolfman uh, type character,
Yeah.
and she ends up having two children. and then he passes away, and she's ends up having to raise these two children's slash pups and all the challenges that that incurs. And there, it's not a plot heavy movie.
No.
It's kind of a fly on the wall almost. You're watching this woman raise these
Yeah, you've
children.
seen this over kind of like a what 10, 12 year period
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really a testament to the hard work it is to be a mother,
Hmm.
and the just the incredible power of a mother's love is the main sort of theme of the movie,
Yeah.
which I think is really beautiful. And he said, said on Wikipedia, said one of Hosoda's motivations for working on this film was that people around him had started raising children, and he saw them shining as they became parents, which is very
Oh,
sweet.
that's a wonderful way to say it, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you watch it, and I mean, because we're both single, and we watch it, and you're like, oh my gosh,
Right. I can't. I just was thinking. I mean, no one works harder in life than the mother in this movie. I
yeah,
mean, she is an amazing character. You know, the way she's portrayed. I mean, just
hmm
trial after trial after trial, and she just perseveres. And I just think, wow, can I tap into her energy? I mean, she's just amazing. She's
yeah.
an amazing character.
Yeah, and I mean, just works so
So
hard, loves her children
hard.
so much, and yet you feel that like slight sense of distance, like that she can never completely understand them because they are different,
Mm-hmm.
and her sort of frustration when she thanks the wolf at the zoo, and then
And this,
also at
yeah.
the sensei, the wolf, when
Mm-hmm.
she thanks it. That is such a it's such a lovely moment.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't think this is a flaw, but with the character, as we're focusing on the character of the
Yeah.
mother. So the beginning, we meet her, and she's at a university, and she sees this dude from afar, and he's in his human form, and we don't find out until a little bit after they have kind of established a relationship that, like, oh, by the way, I'm a wolf man.
Yeah.
They're in bed together,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh, okay. When she thinks about it, and she's like, okay. And I think in a way for me, and maybe it's just I don't wish to be a prude or anything, but I'm just thinking, was that a good life decision? Was that a good life choice that she made to have a sexual relationship with this man who's with this wolf man?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
I would have
I don't know.
probably taken some pause at least to consider.
Because what does she take? Like 10 seconds?
Yeah. And he says, "You deserve to see me for what I am," and then we get this long sort of montage of their love and their
Yeah, I mean
relationship.
they clearly love each other, and they move in together, and because I think in a way, isn't he technically he's homeless, right? Because he just lives out on the he can just live outside, right? He can turn
Yeah,
into
and
a wolf, and
I have to say, when I was watching this, I was thinking, this is such a better Twilight, better than
I
Twilight.
know.
This is such a better
I was
Twilight. It's the
thinking,
same similar story, basically.
yeah, it's Twilight but good, right? I guess there's not like a love triangle going on in any way, but
Thank goodness.
I know, right? But still, it's interesting, and that's what, of course, propels the story.
Also narrated by the daughter, and she
Yes,
says that this was her beloved, her great love. And so, yeah, you do kind of have to buy into that overall sort of love at first sight kind of narrative going
right,
on here.
right, because clearly that's what it is. Is kind of this love at first sight of this, and she sees he's sitting in one of her classes,
Hmm.
at school, and then she kind of follows him, and then they get to know each other, and
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what was he doing going to college?
yeah,
What's he
I thought that
doing?
was really interesting. Yeah, interesting. I guess clearly trying to expand his mind or figure stuff out, but uh, yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
supposedly he's the only one left to carry both wolf and human blood in his veins at the time.
Yeah.
So then, of course, then his children would be. And they never really make it seem like there's any kind of real deficit to being half and half,
No,
you
they
know?
don't. They didn't. Yeah.
Like they seem to be able to equally function in the wolf world and pretty much in the human world.
And
Like,
they can choose really for the most part when they can
mhm.
change. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something happens a little later on which is more provoked, right? But still, they've got a lot of, you know, and so that kind of is a little different than kind of the Wolfman, like the Universal monsters, Wolfman kind of thing, where
Yeah,
full
which is just a
moon,
time thing, right?
yeah, where I guess where a werewolf, right, where it's all these different conditions have to be in place in order for it to happen.
Yeah. So you wouldn't wanna be in, like, Alaska where the sun's bright for 20 hours a day.
Right. Well, so one of the big questions I have for you, Rachel, those two is why. So she's got these two kids, and he leaves her. He leaves her,
Yes.
and I don't understand that. I mean, I guess I
Wasn't
do,
he
but I don't.
wasn't he just going was he going he wasn't leaving her permanently though, right?
Well, that's what I. It seemed to me that he was leaving her permanently because of he left his wallet, he left those that food, and then he left a note. Didn't he leave a note?
I don't remember about the note. Maybe he did. But yeah, I was thinking he was just going to get food or something.
I think he
But
was
you're right, he did leave
he left her.
his wallet. Yeah.
And he left. I mean, he left his family, and it wasn't really clear. And I just thought, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, because he says, "What will she grow up to be? Whatever she wants. I just hope she's happy. That's my wish for her." And then she finds him. She sees him in the river.
Oh,
That was so sad.
so sad.
Mm.
Devastating. I mean, in a way, I was happy she had closure.
Yeah, I
But
guess
about
he
how
just
horrible because he
needed
was
to.
in he was in wolf form when
Yeah,
when
full
he when
wolf form.
yeah.
I maybe he just needed to be a wolf or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wonder, and which is a kind of foreshadowing of what happens later on too, which
Hmm.
we'll get to. But
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know in this world when Yaki and what's the boy's name? Sohei, when
yeah,
they end up having children, does it get diluted at all when it goes down the
right,
line,
right.
or is it just the same? It seems
Is it
like maybe
going to
it's just the
be?
same. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. I do think it's interesting that one of the children wanted to embrace being a wolf, and one of them wanted to embrace being a
Well, see,
human.
I thought that was interesting too, and I felt like the son was really following in a way his father.
Hmm.
You know, because his father seemed to embrace that more, even though he was also able to. You don't know at what point. Didn't he describe it a little bit? At one point, it was kind of more as an adult. He decided to, you know, get a job and, you know, try to be more in human form than in wolf form.
Well, so when she is running after him, and he ends up, she has that moment with the husband,
Yeah,
the reunification, and he says that Ame knows where he is supposed to be,
yeah.
and she thinks, I have more to teach you because you're only 10, but 10 in wolf
But
years
10
is
in
very
wolf years,
old.
he's an adult. Yeah. Ah, heartbreak.
So then after she knows that he has died, then she's trying to raise the kids, and says, wolves are people, we don't know how to be either. Mom had plenty of questions but nobody to ask.
I know.
And yeah.
She is just stuck on her own, not
Yeah.
wanting to divulge what what's really going on with these kids. And
Yeah, and
but I
she's
didn't.
really an island because she is not able to really get help from anybody in raising these
No,
children because they're not
she's
in control of their powers, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so she's just kind of stuck in this lonely situation.
I really felt you just feel for her because here the plight of a single mother is hard to begin with, let alone when your children are half wolf and half human. you know, and she
Yeah.
has zero. Yeah, you just said zero support system. She is on her own,
Yeah.
and
Like,
even the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I
well,
don't
I should
interrupt.
say, like the scene where she's trying to decide should she take him to the vet or take him to
Oh,
the hospital.
heartbreaking. That was yeah, such an effective scene.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, our getting sick was a conundrum: a pediatrician or a vet. And so she figures it out, and so she decides that she's going to move the family to the country. And they find this house that's far away from everybody.
and in
Uh,
horrible condition,
yeah, horrible condition.
but it's for steal. So she's able to buy it, and then holy cow, this is again where I'm just thinking, okay, this character is amazing because she's making all those house repairs. She's making the roof repairs every night and every day. Then seeing
Yeah,
testing the leaks, when it rains in the night.
yeah. And I feel like you don't see that many single mother stories from anime or from Japan
It
very
sure
much.
seemed like a unique. Again, I'm no expert, but this was definitely, I thought, a very unique
Yeah,
story.
I think so.
Yeah,
I can't think of that many that you had anything like that. I mean, I guess in Totoro you kind of have a single father, but
but the
the
mother's just
mother's
she's
sick.
ill. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's unusual, and she has this curmudgeonly neighbor. What did you think of the neighbor?
Well, I was suspicious of the neighbor initially, but I thought he was a great character because he's a curmudgeon, but ultimately he's the one who really helps the mother figure out the farming. Figure out how
Mhm.
to cultivate this land and make it work. And so actually, I quite liked the character initially. I wasn't sure, but then he grew on me. What did you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, says we're all in this together, and he's gruff about her trying to plant and her trying to be gardener and everything like that. But I don't know, he fit that whole sort of curmudgeonly archetype of like your Gran Torino or your kind of that kind of a
Oh yeah,
character, or even
exactly.
Carl and Up, that kind of a
He's like,
character.
yeah, Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood
Mm-hmm.
in
Get off my
Japan.
lawn. And I thought that it was very sweet when she's reading to the kids, and then they say, "Why do wolves have to be the bad guys? I don't want to be a wolf." It was the Yuki that says
Oh,
that. If you
the
think of
stuff with the kids is heartbreaking for me.
yeah, because you
Yeah.
think of Little Red Riding Hood,
Yeah.
and other stories
Oh
where
yeah, absolutely.
the big bad wolf and she says, "I'm going to stick up for the wolves through thick and thin, no matter what." So sweet.
Yeah.
So sweet and stressful.
Oh, I
And they're like
know.
destroying the house. I'm like, ah,
Oh, those two. I know.
in that fight.
That fight is rough. I mean, it's critical, but so it's interesting, because again, the kids, as you previously mentioned, they take this different paths. The oldest daughter decides she wants to stay human and stay in school, and the youngest and the boy doesn't want to go to school, and so
Hmm.
he you know goes into wolf form and gets finds a fox, right? This old fox he's refers to as his sensei, and and he learns the way of the woods from him.
Yeah.
And we don't see a lot of that, but I really liked how that was brought into the story, though, because I mean, they describe it, and it's happening, and they did. There's some good scenes up there. I at least I thought.
Hmm.
We don't necessarily know. I mean, we know we get an idea what he's learning, but not, I mean, not like all of the stuff. But not that that matters. But still,
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because as a mother, you're going to want to, like, say, rescue your son from the river. But then as a wolf, like, that's something he's built to do. So that was an interesting scene, I think, that
Mhm.
he was just he was like, "I'm fine." But, she can't stop her instinct just like he can't stop his instinct.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that fight that those 2 siblings have at that one point where they're truly trashing the house.
I know.
They go into wolf form, and they're out of control, and that was heartbreaking to me too, because here, this is the poor mother's trying to get them to stop, and they can't, and they won't. And they get really banged up too, you
Yeah.
know? They both really beaten up after that fight. Oof.
Yeah, that really was, and just her house getting she's worked so hard on
I
it. It's like,
know. It's
"Ah."
like, "Don't trash this house."
Um, well, and then at one point, the neighbors see Yuki as a wolf, and that whole scene was kinda funny.
Yeah, that's
They're
funny
like,
because they think that it's a dog, like she has a
yeah,
dog.
part German Shepherd.
Yeah.
And and then they have they find out that Mr. Narasaki that had told everyone to look out for her, that she's the only one that has crops that weren't picked out by animals. It's like, we wonder why.
Exactly.
I have to say, it did remind me of uh, when I was growing up. My mom is an incredible gardener. She loves to garden, and we had this huge vegetable garden in our house in Maryland. And when my mom got pregnant, when I was a freshman in high school, my dad, she had to be on bed rest, and so my dad had to take over full garden duties. And so he decided that it was going to be a great idea if we all ran a tomato stand on the like on the side of the road, farm stand thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I mean, here I'm a freshman in high school. I'm like, there's absolutely no way that I was going to be working at like some stand. Like, I mean, if we had absolutely had to, but I knew we didn't, And so I
Yeah.
was like, that would be so embarrassing. I would not want to do that. But nevertheless, he persisted, and he planted something like 40 tomato plants in this garden.
Oh, wow.
So we had so many
So many
tomatoes.
tomatoes.
Yeah, and we were like canning tomatoes. We were doing all this stuff, and then my because we weren't about to be at some stand or whatever,
Yeah.
and because my dad's an entrepreneur, he's always thinking of kind of a great the next great idea, and and so my sisters, my younger sister, and then my much younger sister, who's was I don't know 5 maybe at the time, 5 or 6, and went around with a red wheel wagon and gave away to the neighbors all these tomatoes.
Oh.
And I don't know, her working in the garden kind of reminded me of that. It's so, and we had the stupid groundhogs that always
Oh,
were our
dear.
big nemesis in
Yeah.
Maryland. It's the darn groundhogs, but anyway, it just reminded me of family gardening, and I always be like, "Why can't we just go to the farmer's market? Why do we have to do this?"
I had to. Yeah, because
So,
I mean, the single mom, in the movie, she doesn't have a lot of money, so that she like needs to figure out this gardening thing because that's how they're gonna eat.
yeah.
And um, I just admired her tenacity, Rachel.
Mhm. Yeah, I also think of my one of my best friends from college. Her name's Raylene, and they have a family farm in Ohio called Belvedere Farms, and there's a pretty fun Instagram follow if you follow them. She says the love of her life is a milk cow. She loves her milk cow so much, and she's always talking about all the stuff that they can and grow. And I'm
Oh,
just like,
wow.
I'm exhausted for you. On behalf of you, it's so much work. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
it just
Ra-
looks like so much work, such hard work too.
raising kids is so much work. Wow.
And and then here again, here she is. She's raising these kids under very difficult circumstances, is having to keep up this home and farm.
Yeah.
and provide the food in that way. Like, holy
Mm.
smokes, this woman's amazing.
Especially people who are doing it on their own. It's just unbelievable.
Oh,
I've thought about it from time to time, like if I, whatever, think about like doing foster care or adoption or whatever, and huge props to anyone who does do that, absolutely. But I just don't know if I could do it by myself. I mean, I guess I probably could, but
yeah.
I don't know if I would be. I just feel like that would be so stressful,
Oh, amen.
so stressful. Yeah.
Oof.
I loved the scene though when they were all playing in the snow. That's one of my favorites.
It's a beautiful scene, isn't
Hmm.
it? Because
Yeah.
there's such freedom
Hmm.
in that, and again, it's like knowing the mother was smart. I mean, she knew that that's what the kids needed. Is to be able to have that kind of freedom out in the country that they would never have had in the city. Yeah, I love that. Love
Hmm.
it. The animation's so beautiful in that
Yeah.
too.
Really good. And then they send Yuki to school. She really wants to go to school. She says, I didn't know how girls were supposed to act. I would be more graceful and ladylike, even if it killed me. And then she says, why do you want to act like someone you aren't? Which is interesting because I
Yeah.
think that we all, just to function a little bit, you have to act a little bit like someone you're not. A little bit.
Hmm.
Like, just as I don't know, just an example off the top of my head, like if I'm recording a podcast and I'm in kind of a bad mood, which I'm not saying that's never happened, it has. I can't record that way. I have to put on a happy
Right.
face and make it sound good, and because that's my job, and because no one wants to listen to me being, grumpy pants, and so you have to put on a front. And I think that
Yeah.
we all have to do that to some degree or another.
Yeah, I agree. And the mother I thought was so interesting in that she was teaching the kids, like, so when the daughter goes to school, what was that little statement she had her learn, Rachel? Is just the fact of you, you can't turn into a wolf until you're home. Just like the classmates can't know that she's a wolf.
Yeah, and then we have this whole scene uh with Yuki getting a dress that she makes for her, and this boy at school says, why are you running away from me? That's what's his name? I keep forgetting his
Yeah, I
name.
keep forgetting his name too. I'm not.
So
So
hey,
hey,
yeah,
yeah,
why are you running away from me? And then Yuki punches him and turns into the wolf, and
yeah, it really hurts him. Really
yeah,
hurts his ear.
bloody air, and his parents are really really mad, and they, as you would be, I mean, if your child is bleeding, you would be
Yeah,
very upset.
yeah, it'd be very upsetting.
And so they come in and they're upset, but Sohei keeps her secret and doesn't tell. So then we have a scene where Ame meets with Sensei, the wolf, and then I really just loved that whole animation sequence
Oh, me too.
in the forest.
Yeah.
And this is actually when we get the fight. Is there? They fight the Yuki and Ame, that you don't know what it's been like for me, and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Ame is worried about what the extra moisture was doing to the plants in the forest. And he says that Sensei is dying, and so someone's got to take Sensei's place as the guardian of the mountain. And this is when she's not ready to kind of give up. And uh, and you could totally, I mean, understand that when he's your 10-year-old going out and just being out in the forest in the rain and in the, it makes sense why she's so upset.
Yeah.
The storm, and that's when Ame leaves, and Yuki is stuck at school in this storm. And somebody offers to give her a ride home, but she says, no, my mom's coming. So then Yukai and Sohei are at the school, and I thought it was kind of funny. They're like, what if nobody comes for us? And he's like, I could get a job.
I know
And
it
like,
was.
it's just one night in the school.
It
It's
was very
it was
funny,
very cute.
and just kind of what how you think like an elementary school conversation would go, right? You
Hmm.
know, just yeah, with these
Yeah,
kids,
I could
yeah,
get a job. Yeah, and I thought probably one of the best lines of the whole movie is when she says, "I'm tired of feeling like a kid,"
yeah,
and then they said, "Me, me too," and that is such a true line for a coming of age film. Like it's hard being a
hmm
kid, and let alone a wolf kid.
right,
I mean, I remember feeling that way. Like I just couldn't wait to be able
yeah,
to live my own life, to be able to make my own choices and to not be told what to do all the
yeah.
time.
It's very relatable, isn't it?
Yes.
And kudos to the filmmakers. I think because that's yeah, and that scene could have gone in a lot of weird directions.
Yes.
Are just stupid, and it wasn't. It was poignant,
Uh-huh.
because they both feel the same way. And then uh, Yuki, right, feels comfortable enough
Uh-huh.
to really share, like, yeah, what happened. Like, I'm a wolf. I'm a wolf, and I mean, and he saw it. He saw her, and and he kept,
Yeah.
he still kept the secret. But I was just so happy that she felt comfortable enough finally with another person that she could open up like that.
Yeah, I did too. And and I just related to it because the whole like surly teenager, rebellious teenager is one of my least favorite archetypes. I do not really like that in movies. So this kind of more tired, sad
Yeah,
kind of that I relate to more than the like angry
right.
version. That makes more sense to me. And so I loved that line. I thought it was really good. And so then we have
Oh, the
uh
most heartbreaking,
we get this next scene,
heartbreaking part.
yeah, where the mom is rushing after Ame and she falls down this hill. It was I was like, oh no.
I know. So here she is. It's raining and she's climbing all over this mountain, trying to find her son because I think she knows what he's going to do, and she's just not ready for him to leave.
Yeah.
And oh, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and he says, I live my life like a lone wolf, that he wants to be a boxer kind of thing. And he says, I wish I could tell people the truth, like it doesn't really terrify me. And that's when Yuki shows herself to Sohai.
Yeah.
And it says, all this time I knew, don't be afraid. I never told anyone, and I'm never going to. You're safe.
Didn't
Oh,
you love how that was done too with that
yes.
curtain blowing?
Yes.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
It was beautiful. And like, that's what like love really is, I think, is like safety.
Yeah.
And people like weaponize that and use it like as far as control and protection and things like that. But when it's right, and when people when it's right, it's really beautiful. When you feel safe with somebody that you can be vulnerable with them. Then this is when the mother Hana sees the wolf man back, the father,
Yes.
and he tells her, "You've done a great job." And he says, Ame knows where he is supposed to be. And so that was just a beautiful scene. That's one of the best animated scenes in
Yeah.
the movie.
Scenes like that, I love it when that happens in a movie, and that when I know, clearly she's passed out, but he's been looking out for her from his position, and even though he's dead, he's still, his spirit's involved, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, I love that scene too. That was really a real knockout.
Yeah, it was really good. And she says, I have more to teach you. Don't go. That was devastating. And then she finally, kind of admits, he's right. You're where you belong. And then the says that mom remembers everything about that morning. In a single night, the whole world had been reborn.
Yeah.
And that is just an emotional scene when she has to say goodbye to her child. And I don't know why he can't like come and visit her. Or, like,
Well, I know. I don't know why. Well, yeah, why he can't convince her either. But I guess he feels like he just has to really just embrace this other.
Yeah.
this other part. But it's poignant. I think what he does is, he turns into human form again with his mother, who is, since passed out and is hurt from her fall, that extreme fall she has
Right.
rolling down the mountain, and he's able to carry her kind of almost to like the edge of the forest, right? And then
Mhm.
he takes off. I thought that was a beautiful touch
Mhm.
to a
Yeah.
very sad poor portion of
And
the film.
it's sad that all that she has of her husband is his driver's license.
Driver's license. Yeah.
That would be sad. I wouldn't want that piece to be my only photo
Yeah.
that someone had of me.
Exactly.
And and then Yuki goes away to a dormitory to
Yeah, she
for
goes off to whatever the next school it is. Yeah, but where she won't be living at home.
yeah, and she says 12
They go.
years she spent raising us. The time had sped by as if in a fairy tale. In that moment, I knew I could go. She was fine. We were all fine. We all were. So, yeah, I mean, it makes you think back on the like when you left home or when I left home. And I mean, I was so excited, so ready when I left home.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, my mom was pregnant when I left home. And so I was just so ready to not be thinking about babies or dealing with all of that.
yeah,
And I didn't look back much. But definitely when I left my from my mission was probably more emotional, and definitely when I came back, that I definitely appreciated my family in a whole new way after that experience of really having to basically cut ties for basically 2 years. That was very difficult, a lot harder than I actually expected it to be.
hmm
Now they don't have it be as extreme disconnect as they used to, but
No, you can make phone calls and
yeah,
stuff, which I think helps a lot for
I
both the missionary and the family.
it would have definitely helped me a lot.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
but I know for some people it's a distraction. But anyway, yeah, I remember that feeling of coming home and just how much it meant to me after being like completely severed for
Yeah.
2 years. It was just a beautiful movie. I loved it. I loved rewatching it. It's a powerful treatise on a mother's love,
hmm
and I think you don't get to see that often. I mean, a lot of times in these coming of age movies, the mother is sort of portrayed as a semi villain,
Right.
and and because you have this teenage protagonist who's kind of going to see it that way, and so this is a great movie to watch on like Mother's Day.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah. And I feel like the plot, it doesn't have like a ton of plot, so if there are people that's a problem, then they wouldn't like it. But I feel like this is a pretty approachable anime movie. Would you agree, or do you
Oh,
think
I would
it's
agree. No, I would agree. I think it's very approachable, and it's got a real fantasy element in that. With the kind of the wolf human uh, thing going on,
Mhm.
but it's done in such a humanistic way. Uh, again, I just found it very compelling.
Yeah.
I really, again, such extreme admiration for this mother character, and then just so interesting. Just thinking of the dilemma, the challenge of trying to raise these kids that really so unique, and they got to be careful.
Right.
There's so much stuff. It's just handled so well. Very just great storytelling and really a beautiful film.
I agree. I had some comments on my Twitter I put out to see what people thought about this
Yay!
movie. And I had from film critic William Bibiani. He says, Wolf Children is one of the best movies of the 2010s, one of the best movies I've ever seen about parenting and coming of age, one of the best werewolf movies ever made, pretty much a perfect movie. And then Chris the Magical, he says, Wolf Children is the only movie that was so good that it made me throw up twice.
Oh,
Oh, sad.
it's
Uh,
intense. I mean, I can see why it could. It's
it's intense.
it's intense. Yeah,
Weird Bun says college girl and a dog. It gets stuck with the kids after he gets hit by a truck. A really, really, really good film. Then we have Lassie Voigt says it made me cry 3 times. Beautiful film, but so hard to watch for me. I wrote to my mom right afterwards and told her that I love her.
yeah,
Just
exactly. You just want to give your mom a hug.
yeah.
Just say thank you for everything.
Jules Folk says love it. It's an emotional family film. A writer Zach Hug he says a fan in that I saw in and was like, what an incredible soundtrack. I definitely cried, and that was that. Yeah, it does have beautiful music too.
Hmm.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
It you will love the music in Belle. It's unbelievable.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Hmm. Tamara's Animation Corner says heartwarming anime film. Santa McDonough says, I just asked my younger sister and she said, I liked it. I didn't like the ending though. I don't like stories where there's a tomboy girl who grows out of it by the end. It's kind of sad. It does a good job of showing how hard it is to be a single parent. So that is, I think, a true point is that she does kind of grow out of it. But I feel like that's supposed to be sort of in contrast to her brother who picks the other path.
Yeah.
And I feel like it makes sense as a possibility for her character to make those choices, but I can see what she's saying.
Sure.
Ian Bulaklak says, "Fantastic film. It's my personal favorite from Hosoda." Amir Matani says, "Top tier film and one of my favorites. Brilliant filmmaking and great example of how character focused films can be very effective and why plot isn't necessarily that important." Jolene Coyote says, helped me solidify the idea of having my own family, which is very sweet.
Oh, that is
That's very
nice.
sweet.
Yeah.
Sailor Jaded says, one of the most comforting movies for me. And then Studio Zippo says, one of my all time favorite movies. And
Nice.
I'd say in my top 50 animated films countdown that I did last year, I had Wolf Children at 18. So
Okay. Yeah.
very high.
Made. Yeah. Rachel's top 20.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So there we go. Very good. So let us know if you're listening what you think of Wolf Children. Do you love it? Let us know in the comments section. We'd love to hear what you have to say or on Twitter. And we'll look forward to talking about Belle next month. It's going to be fun.
Yes.
Yes. And Stanford, how can people follow you?
On Twitter, I'm at Stanford Clark. I have a movie podcast and blog at moviespastandpresent.com. And please follow me on Instagram. I'm at moviespap, as in past and present.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that so much. And also make sure you're following the Hallmarkies podcast. Got lots of fun stuff going on over there as well. And so thanks so much. This was so much fun to get to talk about. And we'll talk to you all next month. Bye, everyone.
Bye.